Well, in recent times, I feel like things have been a little bit haphazard here on the channel. We've had a lot of lasts happening. The last of the studio line, at least for now, when we looked at Ironhide. I don't have any of the kind of newer ones yet, though they will be incoming, I assure you. The last of the Power of the Primes line and the last of the Legends size class. But that doesn't mean that we're done with the Generations Chug line yet, because there's a couple from earlier on that I still haven't looked at. Case in point, this guy, the Reveal the Shield Jazz. This is a figure that until right now, today with you, I've never handled, never seen in person, never toyed around with, even though it has been touted as fantastic for years. Is he really? Well, we're about to find out in the latest GotBot True Review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. I so very much appreciate you being here, giving me some of your time, dropping by for a visit. Please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Check out Machinery Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And this is RTS Jazz. Although, oh no, okay, he has his RTS thing up here. I was about to say, I'm not even sure where his Reveal the Shield is. Now this guy has been touted for years as he is fantastic. He is everything good that a Transformer should be. I don't know, we're about to find out. Now, I got him in a bag along with two other figures. Those being Nitro Bumblebee and Dark of the Moon Barricade. Why this guy was thrown in there, I don't know, but I paid $1 for him. $1. Now, he did not come with his little rifle thing, but I do have a blaster that I found that fits up here and pegs in nicely, actually, that could work quite well with him. Now, I'm about to try and determine what I think of this. And you know me by now. I'm always very honest whether I think it's good or not. And I really want to kind of compare this guy to other iterations of Jazz that we've had in the Chug kind of size line aesthetic. So we're going to look at him in comparison with the Fall of Cybertron version and with the more recent Power of the Primes version. How does this guy stack up? Is he as good as everybody says? Well, we're about to find out. Let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. And indeed, I have looked at many a Jazz here on the channel, going back as far as episode 103 when I looked at the Fall of Cybertron Jazz, who I really enjoy. I gave great scores to. From there, I looked at the Action Master Jazz. Yeah, Action Masters. That was fun in episode 164, along with a bunch of Action Masters. I looked at the Robots in Disguise Jazz, which is actually a pretty fun figure in and of itself in episode 214. I looked at kind of my custom painted FOC Jazz and sort of updated my thoughts about him and whatnot in episode 271. I looked at the Power of the Primes Jazz and some custom paint I did on him in episode 342. And I looked at the Studio Series Jazz, who I also really enjoy, in episode 411. But you know, despite all of those Jazzes, I have never looked at, never handled, knew nothing about the Reveal the Shield iteration of that character and the Reveal the Shield mold, though it's been used many times and people tout it as absolutely fantastic. Well, the last time that somebody told me something was absolutely fantastic, and there was a lot of hype over a particular mold, it was the MP10 Optimus Prime. And my only kind of knowledge of that came in my look at the MPP10, the KO of that mold, in episode 279. And yeah, it's good, I guess, but like, I was disappointed by it. It did not live up to the hype that was built up for me in my mind. His transformation is not that smooth, and there are like limitations on the articulation of his forward and backward motion in his legs and limitations on his shoulders that bother me to no end. Like, he is not perfect 10s across the board at all. Not at all. He is not worth all of the hype he has gotten. Is the version 3 Optimus going to live up to some hype? I don't know. I don't think he's gotten a lot of hype, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people are planning to pass over him. Anyway, this is the second time that I have been hyped up for a figure. Am I going to like it, or is it about to be another sad disappointment for me? We're about to find out together. I'm sure you already know your thoughts on it, but let's see what I think for a first timer coming to this rather aged mold now. In vehicle mode, he looks great, and I'm starting him off this way because that's how he came in package. We're going to grade him after, but I can tell you that he looks fantastic here. Very, very reminiscent. Very, very kind of accurate to his G1 model. Now, of course, he isn't completely accurate. The vehicle mode is somewhat stylized, and it does look sort of Porsche-esque. The headlights remind me of like the movie version. What was that? A solstice? Solstice? Is that what it was called? So maybe it's a bit of a hybrid of the movie version and like going for a G1 sort of aesthetic. He rolls tremendously well. I did not get the blaster that he comes with, so I'm using something else. I do like that these doors can open and the speakers inside can come out in vehicle mode here and fold out. It's sort of ingenious, the hinge that they're on. And of course then they can fold back in. I won't do that just yet. We'll do that when we go to transform the guy. I will say this, that for my first time interacting with this mold, and finding it the way I did, it's going to be hard for me, I think, not to like it. Because if you have been kind of hanging around the channel recently, then you know that we've looked at a Nitro Bumblebee that I got for $1, a Dark of the Moon Barricade that I got for $1, and in the same baggie, so accounting for the third dollar of my $3 purchase, was this guy. So I paid $1 for him, and I have seen him go for much higher on the aftermarket, for sure. Now, here he is in his vehicle mode that looks extremely accurate compared to the other G1-esque, I'm going to say, versions of Jazz that we have. The RTS one is way over on the far end. In the middle, we have my custom Valve Cybertron one with his Cybertronian alt mode that does not look accurate, though some might argue that since we have the Siege line starting to come out with its Cybertronian modes, that maybe this Jazz actually fits in quite nicely now, because hey, that's a Cybertronian series of modes. This is a Cybertronian mode. Hey, it probably works great. And of course we have the combiner version, the Power of the Primes Jazz, that is much more stylized, more like a Le Mans race car. And like, I like it, but a lot of people have complained about this one. We'll get to that later. So in vehicle mode, which one wins as an iteration of Jazz? I think the Reveal the Shield one does. While you would probably at least look at the Power of the Primes one and say, it's probably Jazz. It has the 4 and it has the lines and it's white. I think that you would kind of be making a shot in the dark, educated guess. With the Reveal the Shield one, it's obvious who it is, man. Absolutely obvious. So I will give the initial win to the Reveal the Shield Jazz. Nice start for a nice figure who rolls. Very nice. By the way, I said that he does have a blaster. I have found that the blaster that comes with the Valve Cybertron Jazz actually works really well with this guy. So much so that up under his kind of front bumper, I guess up under his hood, there are a couple of rounded 5mm pegs. Now, I don't think they're intended to be able to do this. Maybe they are intended to be able to do it with his like rifle thing he comes with. But the handle of the Valve Cybertron Jazz's blaster, which does look like Jazz's blaster, fits up there quite nicely above his shoulders, and I absolutely dig it. So that's what I have done with that for now anyway. Strong start. Okay, so what about the conversion? Oh, I will say this. There is one little disappointment on this guy, and something that I'll probably rectify. He does not have any paint on the back at all. I would at least like taillights. You know, I'd like that. So, what about for his transformation? Well, it's pretty easy for the most part. We begin, and again, I don't have any instructions for this, but we begin by, I'm going to say, opening the doors to give us kind of room here to work. And I think it's so cool that you can open the doors. And at this point, if you are so inclined, you can pick up the, I don't know, speakers and put them, we'll say, that way. And we'll say, what way? Is that the right way? I think that's the right way. I think that's the right way. I mean, you can, you know, put his speakers up like that. You could close the doors if you wanted and bring this out all the way and turn them, you know, close the doors again, bring this out all the way and turn it. I don't know, something like that, say, and like that's cool. It's something he could do in the show, and it's cool that they're there. I was sort of surprised that these were actually like included with this guy. Like I was surprised that they weren't lost on clips because they're just on C clips. But hey, I'm thankful that they're there. Fantastic for me. So opening the doors out again here, we're just gonna kind of bring these back for now. And I'm sure I'm not putting these back correctly, but I want to get through the conversion here. We'll worry about that after. So the door wings are out. We come underneath the guy and we can pull his hands forward. Oh, and I guess start to bring his shoulders out so that we can actually get to the blaster up there and take it out. So you bring the arms down and then you start to fold the shoulders out. It takes apart the hood here in the center, which I think is sort of genius, to be honest with you. We bring these out to the side, and then we bring this down over, and like his head is down here in the body. As you bring the chest down, the head automatically comes up. I love it. We're just gonna back it up a bit here so we can see him in all of his glory coming together. Okay, so now that we've got the upper body done there, all we need to really deal with is the lower body, and for that we come to the back and like we unpeg the legs from the roof section there. By the way, we do have a rub symbol here, and if your finger has any heat in it at all, it shows up pretty nicely to reveal that he's an Autobot, in case you didn't know for some weird reason. So we come here and we straighten out the hips. And after we straighten out the hips, we can split the legs. And really what you're looking to do now is sort of straighten out his knee and lower shin and foot. So the foot, we can bring forward on both sides. I guess if you really wanted to, he could be adorable and just stand there like that. But it's not right now, is it? Of course it's not right. Now I wanted to back up because of course he's going to get slightly taller here. And I wanted to try at least and make sure that he stays on camera here. So we will straighten that out. Now you'll notice that there's a little, I don't know what you call it, spring-loaded piece here. I don't like the spring-loaded piece. I find it to be a little bit of a nuisance actually. Straighten that out. Straighten the leg up. It pushes the spoiler back, by the way. You know, it is what it is. What? I don't know what happened here with his foot and heel, but that's not right. Whew, did that cause me pain? His heel was after coming out past the shin piece that's spring-loaded, and I had like a devil of a time getting it back into the correct location so that I could finish the transformation of the left foot. Nevertheless, that was kind of a freak occurrence and something that does not normally happen. Usually his transformation is mostly smooth. Now, I do find that trying to figure out what to do with these speakers and fold them up correctly is a nuisance. They're on ball joints and a C-clip. It's just a pain. I appreciate that they're there. I think it's cool, but like sometimes it's a pain to figure it out. I don't like the spring-loaded sections in his shins. I wish that they just flipped up and down. I find that to be a nuisance. Outside of that, everything else is pretty smooth with this guy. Now, going back into vehicle mode, I do find that tabbing the rear section of the roof into the legs is a little bit cumbersome. And I do find that when you fold his shoulders back and under and the hood pieces come up in the middle where his head is protruding from right now, when they come up in the middle and have to connect, I find that to be a little cumbersome. So I do find that it's better to go from vehicle to robot slightly than it is to go from robot back to vehicle. It's a good transformation, but it has a couple of fiddly bits. I'm going to say it's a solid 8. It's a good transformation. Not fantastic, not everything that's right with Transformers, but good. The styling and paint of the guy, 9.5. It's really great. It's a 10 if you're going for toy accuracy, because he has the door wings. But because he has the door wings, it's a 9.5 for animation accuracy. Yes, the grill should have silver, and I believe that was done in Japan. And yes, there's a little bit of blue missing on his hips and pelvis section. I'll probably add both of those touches myself, but otherwise, it's jazz. It's jazz. Absolutely 100% for toy accuracy, 9.5 for animation accuracy. So, we have an 8 for transformation, we have a 9.5 for his coloration. I'm going to say, honestly, that the guy, is, at this point, because we haven't gone through articulation yet, but at this point, the guy is easily like an 8.75. It's good. He can use that Fall of Cybertron Jazz's blaster. That's pretty great. I do wish that the chest actually had like more of a locking point than it seems to have. Maybe it does and I just don't know it, because again, I'm doing this guy without instructions. And if I really want to have the doorless silhouette, I mean, you can get the silhouette. It's just now he has quite an egregious backpack. So these are meant to be more out. Here he is in robot mode next to a couple of other iterations. I think the Fall of Cybertron one, while the smallest, it puts me the most in the mind of Jazz, especially with the custom paint work I done on him. I absolutely love the look of the chest on that guy, and he doesn't have the door wings. The Power of the Primes one, the colors are accurate. All of the nods are there for Jazz. He doesn't have the door wings, which I like, but like the silhouette is off. Like the head isn't quite right, the chest isn't quite right because it's stylized. In terms of embodying the character, either the Fall of Cybertron in robot mode, or again the Reveal the Shield one does it the best. And that brings us to articulation. He's at 8.75 so far. And the articulation should be pretty straightforward with the guy. The door wings, we know they can move, forward and back and whatnot. The head can go left and right and look up and look down tremendously well. The arms, they can go well out to the sides. And they can bend forward and back. They can't go all the way around because of this tire section here. Well, I guess they can if you really needed to. You can sort of manipulate it. Bicep swivel, 90-degree elbow? 90? Little less than 90? Maybe just shy of 90. Just shy of 90 degrees at the elbow, but it's close enough. We have wrist rotation. We have waist rotation. Legs way forward at the hip. They can go back quite a ways at the hip. Thigh rotation. The guy can do full splits, really. Knee, because of transformation, it can go out like that. I don't really like that piece of articulation. But that being said, punch counter punch has it and it's fine. I gave it a pass there, so I'll give it a pass with this guy, especially because the knee can still bend past 90 degrees super deep. The feet, well, the heels and toes can tilt forward and back. And he has rather large feet that allow him to stand quite well. I just wish that something locked the chest down more. That's really my only gripe with it. So I'm going to say that his articulation is highly effective. That one minor little gripe, it's a 9.5. The guy was getting an 8.75. Gets a 9.5 for articulation. Overall, the guy's a 9.25. It is a fantastic jazz, even all these years later. But that does leave me with a quandary and a conundrum. As a collector who sticks to one representation of a character to, to try and keep control of my space limitations, who do I go with? Because I like all three of these, and there are points that I dislike about all three of these. First things first. This is a time where this jazz has been given a lot of hype, and it's warranted. I absolutely agree it's warranted. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's everything right with Transformers, not like Warpath, but it's pretty close up there, and it is a solid mold. I can see why it'd be used a bunch of times, and I would not mind having it more than once myself. It's fun, it feels solid in the hand, and like everything works well with it, even though I sort of struggled there momentarily with that foot piece, though I was able to fix it okay and get it back into the right position. Really, assuming you avoid being a butterfingers like me, the real only gripe I think here is it'd be nice if the chest could peg in. You've probably heard that before. I don't know which one to go with, because while I like things about all three of these, I dislike things about all three of these. I'd love to know which ones you have, or which one you have as your representation. Some people will say keep all three. No, I have to try and control things. So I do want to kind of select one as my be-all, end-all for jazz. I just don't know which one to go with. And here we are back again, and what a quandary I find myself in, because all three have good points, all three have bad points. It's as simple as that. The Fall of Cybertron jazz looks like jazz in robot mode. I'm not a huge fan, never was, of the Cybertronian alt mode, though some people would say, hey, all of the Siege line is Cybertronian. It's good, it's fine, it looks good. Maybe it's helped with the custom paint work I did, maybe not, depends on your taste. But like, I feel like that looks like jazz in robot mode, undoubtedly. Then we have, oh, and by the way, another weakness with him, that's my second copy of that jazz, because the first one had an arm break off. Then we have the Power of the Primes jazz, which I like, but again, people have complained and said that the clear plastic tends to break. It's slathered with paint, which looks good, but I don't know if it's going to have weakness over time. I don't notice any weakness with mine, and I've converted him many times, many times. I don't notice any weakness, I don't notice any stress marks, nothing. He seems fine. But the chest is kind of off. The shoulders seem a little too blocky. He doesn't have the door wings, which I like, but he's still not quite there. Then we have this guy. He nails it in vehicle mode. And in robot mode, if you're going for a G1 toy aesthetic, he nails it. For animation, he's pretty close. I just wish there was a way to kind of fold his door wings out of the way, and his legs are a bit strange. Nevertheless, he's definitely a strong figure. There's no doubt about it. I don't know. As a collector, and in order to try and control my space, I try to keep myself to one representation of a character. But with jazz now I have three, and I don't know which one to kind of use as my jazz. I'd love to hear from you guys. What one do you think I should keep? What one do you have yourself? Which one do you like best? Please, let me know. You know I love to hear from you guys. You also know that I very much appreciate you giving me some of your extremely valuable time. Please hit that subscribe button again. Helps me out so very, very much. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together, and some exciting things coming up, by the way. But I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.